protagonist, Kuroda Issei, he is an unremarkable individual who abides by a singular, unwavering principle. His guiding principle was to consistently act with goodness, regardless of the circumstances. He selflessly aids those in need, expecting nothing in return. Yet it appeared that fate took a personal affront to his benevolence. Every act of kindness unexpectedly spiraled into calamity. This left him dangling precariously at the end of the rope. As he generously emptied his pockets, handing every last coin to a homeless man, he is met with a barrage of insults as his reward. A bird, soaring gracefully above, released a perfectly timed droplet of feces that plummeted from the sky. As he lends a hand to an elderly woman, she succumbs to panic, branding him as nothing more than a thug. He incites the crowd to unite in opposition against him. Kuroda narrowly evaded a deadly mob, escaping the clutches of a lynch mob just in time. He clung to the hope that the nightmare had finally come to an end. Yet the reality proved otherwise. A heavenly pot of flour base descended, promising culinary inspiration, struck him squarely on the head. The same elderly woman continued to follow him closely. With relentless fury, she descended upon him, striking mercilessly with her cane until his feeble existence was extinguished. As Kuroda drew his final breath, a profound sense of regret enveloped his entire life. His only desire was to offer his assistance. As Kuroda's eyes fluttered open, he finds himself standing at the threshold of the afterlife. At the gate, he encounters Angel Gabriel. Gabriel informs Kuroda about his purpose for being there, which is to reveal the destination of his next journey. To his astonishment, Gabriel revealed that his next destination would be none other than hell. Kuroda's anguished cries echoed through the room as he pounded his fists against the floor in a fit of pain and frustration. He questioned the purpose of his lifetime of virtuous deeds, pondering why such selflessness had led him to an existence resembling hell. A realization washed over Gabriel as he acknowledged the truth in Kuroda's words, sensing that certain elements were failing to align. Without hesitation, he resolves to investigate the situation further and quickly retrieves a scale. In that moment, he realized a critical design flaw had emerged. Kuroda's karma was, in fact, inverted. Kuroda stood in stunned disbelief, his mind swirling with confusion at the unexpected turn of events. Gabriel elaborated to him that all living beings are imbued with karma energy. Essentially, as the protagonist engages in more acts of kindness, the energy enveloping him transforms in a favorable manner, enhancing the probability of positive outcomes returning to him. However, for Kuroda, the situation was quite different. Every virtuous action he had undertaken seemed to have inadvertently summoned a tide of negative karma in return. Gabriel elaborated on how his string of virtuous deeds had ironically led to his current misfortune, revealing that his karma was in an abysmal state. To truly understand the gravity of the situation, one must recognize that it is even more alarming than the actions of a heinous criminal. Kuroda stood in shock upon hearing the news, realizing that it signaled the onset of his ultimate punishment. Gabriel solemnly affirms his fate, declaring that he is condemned to endure eternal agony and torment in hell. He reassured him, insisting that he would never forsake those who fell under his guardianship. Embodying his kind-hearted nature, Gabriel reassured Kuroda of his commitment to finding a solution for him. He then reveals to him the vast realms of the universe, pinpointing one in particular, Earth. He informed him that returning to his original world was impossible, as magic was non-existent on Earth. Moreover, he explained that resurrecting the dead in this realm was unattainable, leaving him with only one course of action. This revelation catapulted him into an entirely different realm. To bolster his assertion, Gabriel assured him that he would assist in locating a world where individuals akin to him thrive. A brief search ensued as they delved into the possibilities. Gabriel selects a realm infused with multidimensional magic. He observes a mage who has attempted a forbidden spell, resulting in the demise of his soul. Yet, astonishingly, his body remains alive but devoid of essence. Gabriel informed Kuroda of his intention to transfer him into this new body. Confusion flickered across Kuroda's face, but Gabriel urged him to relax, promising that clarity would come in due time. Additionally, Gabriel informs him that he intends to present a small gift as compensation for his reversed karma. This revelation manifested as ultimate karma, clearly displayed on a status window directly before Kuroda. The information displayed on the screen revealed to Kuroda that each good deed earned him 100 temporary luck points. Gabriel directed Kuroda to seek out the White Mage, asserting that he alone possessed the magic capable of returning Kuroda to Earth. Despite the situation, Kuroda found himself engulfed in confusion, uncertain of his next move, while Gabriel admitted that he too was at a loss. Gabriel reveals that he is prohibited from intervening in the unfolding events of the universe. Nonetheless, Gabriel extended his best wishes, silently hoping that fortune would favor him this time. As Gabriel bids him farewell, he extends a heartfelt heartfelt apology for the trials he has endured. Kuroda's soul journeyed through the shimmering astral portal, transcending the boundaries of the physical realm. As he gradually opened his eyes, he suddenly discovers that he has inhabited the body of a powerful mage. Kuroda marveled at the unexpected turn of fate, feeling both astonished and exhilarated by the remarkable opportunity to embrace a second chance at life. As he embarked on his second playthrough, the protagonist recalled that his primary mission was to locate the elusive white mage, a crucial step in his quest to return to Earth and reclaim a semblance of normalcy. Kuroda rose from her seat and strode confidently toward the mirror. The protagonist gazed at his reflection, awestruck by his strikingly formidable appearance. At that moment, a sudden cacophony erupted behind him, catching his attention. He strides purposefully toward the source of his curiosity, eager to uncover the mystery that lies ahead. The sight before him sends a chilling wave of shock coursing through his body. Thousands of monstrous figures loomed before him, their voices rising in a fervent chant of "Long live the Black Mage." As he continued to tremble from the overwhelming impact of the moment, a goblin materialized behind him, urging him to don his cloak. The goblin commanded the assembled monsters to rally their cheers for the mightiest man in history. He was a man who had never committed a single good deed throughout his entire existence. The Black Mage earned a notorious reputation for perpetrating unspeakable atrocities, leading many to regard him as the very embodiment of evil. Kuroda found himself unable to comprehend the sight before him. He hurriedly dashed back inside and firmly closed the door behind him. His initial impulse is to flee, overwhelmed by uncertainty in the presence of creatures he perceives as monstrous. Out of nowhere, the goblin from earlier materialized beside him, inquiring about his well-being. Kuroda staggered back in shock at the sudden appearance of the stranger, struggling to maintain his composure as he demanded to know what the man wanted from him. The goblin introduced himself as Grut, informing Kuroda that he had been appointed as his new advisor just the day before. Kuroda swiftly inquires about the reason behind the presence of hundreds of monsters gathered before his castle. He smiled as he responded to Kuroda, revealing that their presence was due to his own orders. The gravity of the situation became apparent. The Black Mage intended to launch an assault on the neighboring villages, which prompted him to summon them. Kuroda panicked upon hearing the news, urgently instructing Grut to retract all previous statements. Grut's mind swirled with shock and confusion upon hearing the revelation. He swiftly imposes blame upon himself. In a moment of unexpected agility, he flicked his finger toward. He engulfed himself in flames. Kuroda stood in stunned silence, utterly astonished by the unfolding scene before him. Instinctively, he summoned his magic, channeling it to extinguish the flames. As he executed the action, the status window revealed to him that the ultimate karma had been activated. Grut's behavior grew increasingly peculiar as he sank to his knees, pleading with Kuroda for forgiveness and the merciful release of death. He finds himself engulfed in a whirlwind of confusion. Grut went on to express that the entirety of the situation was his fault. However, he harbored no desire to meet the same fate as the former advisors, their anguished cries still reverberating through the castle's walls. Perplexed, Kuroda inquires of Grut the meaning behind his cryptic words. Grut directed his finger toward the wall, drawing attention to it. Kuroda spun around, his gaze landing on a macabre display of hundreds of heads mounted upon the wall. He screamed out, fervently demanding to understand precisely what it was that he sought. He approached the wall, a wave of disgust washing over him as he began to ponder what terrible fates had befallen those who met such gruesome ends. The protagonist scrutinized the wall, noticing the name tiles meticulously arranged alongside the reasons for each person's demise. Among them was an advisor to the king, whose brief 6-day tenure had ended in execution due to his tardiness. Another individual had the misfortune of serving as the king's advisor for a mere 13 days, meeting a gruesome fate for attempting to escape the castle. In a shocking display of brutality, one advisor was cut down just 31 minutes into his service, executed simply for daring to spit. Kuroda gazed in disbelief at the malevolent nature of his former self, struck by the depths of wickedness he had once inhabited. He swiftly assured Grut that he harbored no intentions of causing him any harm. As a result of this, Kuroda informed Grut of his decision to appoint him as his lifelong advisor. Grut's astonishment was palpable as he processed the news, and with a grateful heart, he expressed his thanks to Kuroda for securing the appointment. He then informs Grut that he has several questions to pose, emphasizing the importance of providing thorough answers regardless of how peculiar they may appear. Kuroda's initial inquiry is directed at uncovering Grut's true identity. Grut confidently asserts his title as the greatest black mage in the universe, prompting Kuroda to insist on learning his name. Grut confidently introduces himself as the Black Mage, while Kuroda inquires about their current location. Upon hearing this, Grut assumes that Kuroda poses these questions to evaluate his expertise expertise as an advisor. He informed Kuroda that they stood within his castle, a formidable fortress reigning over the southern lands. This stronghold also functioned as the central headquarters for his army. Kuroda suddenly realizes that he has been reincarnated as an evil figure, now wielding authority over an entire kingdom of monsters. Kuroda then asserts his authority, inquiring about the timeline of his reign over the southern lands. Grut paused for a moment, his mind racing before he replied breathlessly that 40 minutes had passed. However, Kuroda's piercing voice interrupted him, demanding to know what he meant by such a statement. He swiftly rectified his error, admitting that he had misspoken. What he intended to convey was a staggering 40 billion years. However, Kuroda harbored doubts about the accuracy of this assessment as well. Fear etched across his features. Grut lamented his failure to meet his master's expectations once more. He brandished a knife, poised to take his own life with the lethal blade. However, Kuroda intervenes, urging him to exercise patience and avoid rushing into his decisions. By intervening to prevent Grut from taking his own life, the ultimate karma reawakened once more, ready to unfold its consequences. Kuroda firmly instructed Grut to persevere in life regardless of the circumstances. Kuroda ominously warned him that should he ever attempt to take his own life again, he would face a fate far more agonizing than any other advisor had endured. Beneath Kuroda's menacing facade, however, lay an insincerity. He was merely bluffing. The protagonist lacked the courage to embrace malevolence. Having thoroughly ensured that his instructions were clearly conveyed to Grut, Kuroda refocused his thoughts, reaffirming his mission to locate the elusive white mage. Kuroda's resolve to return to Earth remained unshakable, regardless of the dire circumstances he faced. He yearned to reunite with his beloved comforter once more. Standing before him was none other than his mother. Kuroda inquired of Grut whether he could perceive the status window, yet Grut responded that nothing was visible to him. In that moment of realization, Kuroda understood that he alone possessed the unique ability to perceive the status window. Kuroda inquired about the white mage, pressing Grut for details about the character and nature of this mysterious individual. As the questions slipped from his lips, an unsettling fear seeped into the hearts of all present. It seems that the provided text is incomplete. Please provide a complete line or statement for transformation into a professional third-person narrative. The room buzzed with anticipation as Grut chimed in with a response. Grut vehemently declared the white mage to be the most worthless and despicable being in existence. He confidently reassured Kuroda of his determination to deliver the white mage's head as proof of his prowess. He calmly expressed his appreciation for Grut's tenacity, yet his curiosity was piqued by the type of magic wielded by the white mage. Grut disclosed that the white mage wielded the power to manipulate multidimensional magic. He conjured enormous vortexes that swept away monsters like them, transporting them to distant worlds. Upon hearing this revelation, Kuroda realizes he has discovered a pathway back to Earth. The protagonist focuses intently on the status window, attempting to harness the multidimensional magic displayed before him. However, the system notifies him of its incompatibility with black magic. Recognizing the gravity of his situation, he concludes that seeking assistance from the white mage is his only viable option. Kuroda inquired whether Grut believed the white mage would be inclined to lend his magic, but Grut coldly responded that the white mage was, in fact, his arch-enemy. He grimly informed Kuroda that the white mage would sooner face death than offer any assistance. Kuroda had already unraveled the situation, convinced that the skill he acquired from Gabriel would grant him a crucial advantage. Kuroda resolves to gather additional information about the ultimate karma. The system reveals to him that by enhancing his luck points, he significantly boosts the likelihood of realizing his desires. With this realization, Kuroda understands that he can persist in amassing acts of kindness. He recollected the 2 occasions on which he had saved Grut's life, realizing that this should have earned him a total of 200 points. He then reviewed his total luck points. He gazed at the display, only to find it remained stubbornly fixed on 0. He contemplates whether it might be a glitch in the system. Determined to uncover more, he resolved to investigate further. He quickly realized that his karma was in a dismal state, effectively the worst it could possibly be. An unbreakable curse had been cast upon him, sealing his fortune and preventing any increase in his luck points. Kuroda's panic surged as he realized that, devoid of luck, the prospect of acquiring multidimensional magic slipped further from his grasp. As he contemplated his next move, a new quest notification suddenly appeared before him. She informed him that the curse could be lifted through the execution of a unique act of kindness. Over the next few days, Kuroda diligently amassed a series of commendable deeds within the castle walls. Despite having rescued Grut on 2 separate occasions, the protagonist realized that these acts had failed to unlock his sealed fortune. During one of his noble quests, the protagonist intervened to prevent his followers from executing a man. He commanded them them to set him free without delay. The monster seethed with anger upon hearing this revelation, for Kuroda was meant to be the ultimate antagonist. Grut informs him that the man is essentially a serial killer, emphasizing the necessity of his demise. He elaborates that freeing this individual would likely lead to an escalation in his criminal activities. Before Kuroda has the chance to retract his command, the authorities had released the criminal, confirming Grut's earlier assertion. Without hesitation, the man swiftly eliminated his target, prompting the system to penalize him with a severe consequence. Recognizing the daunting challenge ahead, Kuroda concludes that amassing a collection of good deeds within the castle walls may prove to be an impossible endeavor. Determined to reassure his mother of his survival, he resolves to seek an alternative method to carry out the special good deed. Determined to fulfill his mission, Kuroda departed the castle and made his way toward the Western Territory. As they approached the outskirts of the territory, Grut turned to him, inquiring with palpable concern whether he was truly certain about entering the Western lands. As uncertainty loomed over the camp, the threat of an impending soldier attack kept everyone on edge. Despite the evident dangers surrounding them, Kuroda remained undeterred and urged Grut to press onward with their journey. Rumor had it that a white mage resided in the village just ahead. The individual before him was none other than Kuroda's intended target. The protagonist realized that only those capable of wielding multidimensional magic belonged to the cult known as the Immaculate Order, which was led by a powerful white mage. Grut pointed out that the villagers were merely disciples, casting doubt on their willingness to assist. He suspected that they would likely betray them instead. According to Grut, the only viable path forward lay in bribing a mage who had been cast out from the order. Kuroda inquired of Grut whether the mage would accept the offer. Grut responded affirmatively, admitting that he would likely accept the job, a decision influenced by his notorious reputation as Tyrion the Greedy. It became evident that Tyrion had been profiting from multidimensional magic, a revelation that ultimately led to her expulsion from the order. Kuroda felt a surge of satisfaction upon hearing the news, for as a wealthy black mage, financial concerns were far removed from his mind. Upon entering the village, they encounter a forlorn young lad perched beside a well, his expression heavy with sorrow. The creature he had become was truly monstrous. Grut promptly proposed that they eliminate the boy without hesitation. However, Kuroda intervened, suggesting that he had a more advantageous idea. Kuroda approached the boy, her curiosity piqued as she inquired about his solitary presence in such a perilous location. Concern etched on her face, she sought to understand whether he was without parents. The boy confesses that he indeed has a debt to settle, as his father had incurred a substantial obligation with a mage, and now he must assist in repaying it. Upon hearing this, Kuroda inquired of the boy whether he was referring to Tyrion. The boy nodded in affirmation, acknowledging the statement with a subtle yet resolute gesture. Kuroda inquired about Tyrion's whereabouts, and the boy responded that everyone was gathered at the tavern, engrossed in watching Tyrion's performance. Kuroda informed Grut that their departure was imminent, but before they could leave, he had something important to address. Grut instinctively concludes that Kuroda intends for him to dismember the boy, but Kuroda swiftly intervenes, reassuring him that everything is all right. Kuroda deftly retrieves his money pouch and extracts a gleaming gold coin. The protagonist hands the gold coin to the boy, instantly marking his action as a commendable act of kindness. The boy nearly faints from exhilaration upon catching sight of the shimmering gold coin. However, Kuroda appeared discontent, feeling that the system had failed to recognize the significance of his actions. Grut, taken aback, couldn't fathom why his master would bestow a gold coin upon a human. Meanwhile, Kuroda swiftly misconstrued Grut's astonishment, believing he meant that the solitary gold coin was insufficient. Kuroda resolved to give the entire money pouch to the boy, an act that filled him with unparalleled joy, making him feel like the happiest person on the planet. Grut's panic surged as he grappled with the perplexing question of why Kuroda would act in such a manner. Despite his turmoil, the seal on Kuroda's luck remained unbroken, indicating that all of Grut's efforts had ultimately fallen short. Meanwhile, Grut found himself grappling with a crisis of faith as he pondered the peculiar behavior of Kuroda, a man renowned for his terrifying reputation. As Grut pondered the matter, his attention was suddenly drawn to the boy felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for Kuroda's actions, viewing him as a true hero. At this moment, Grut's delusion takes root, setting the stage for his unfolding journey. He speculated that Kuroda intended to groom the boy as his successor, manipulating him with wealth to ensure his perpetual devotion as a subservient disciple. Caught in his own delusions, he believed the boy would embark on a path of numerous atrocities to win Kuroda's favor, ultimately positioning himself as a valuable ally in the quest for dominance over the southern lands. Grut remained lost in thought, envisioning the unfolding events when Kuroda interrupted his reverie, signaling that it was time for them to depart. Moments later, they reached the tavern, yet Tyrion was conspicuously mysteriously absent. Suddenly, a dazzling screen materializes before the tavern, capturing the attention of all who are present. Grut cautioned Kuroda to exercise caution, as he was gazing upon a phenomenon of multidimensional magic. On the opposing side, two entities stood poised. The two individuals, seemingly consumed by love, exchanged heartfelt farewells. Just as the story teetered on the brink of its most captivating moment, the screen flickered and then plunged into darkness. The PA system crackled to life, announcing to the spectators that the broadcast had officially come to a close. The audience erupted in panic as the scene abruptly ended at its most thrilling moment, leaving everyone in suspense. A voice emanating from the announcement system instructed them to insert a gold coin if they wished to restart the multidimensional magic and unravel the mysteries of the universe. Chaos erupted in the crowd as arguments ignited, each person clamoring over who was responsible for the bill. As the group engaged in a heated exchange of bickering, Kuroda approached the machine, curiosity evident in his stride as he examined its intricate design. He deftly slipped a gold coin into the slot. He twists the knob with deliberate intent. A brilliant light suddenly illuminated the screen. Kuroda received instructions to place his hand upon the screen, focusing intently on the location he wished to observe. Kuroda diligently followed the given instructions. The magic enveloped him, transporting him to Earth. The protagonist delves into a profound contemplation of his true desires. To his astonishment, his mother materialized on the screen. Kuroda lunged for the screen, his voice rising in desperation as he shouted out to his mother, assuring her that he was fine. The onlookers in the room speculate that Kuroda may be grappling with a mental illness, given his peculiar behavior. Kuroda's mother was enduring an incredibly challenging period in her life. With the tragic loss of her son, she appeared utterly despondent. The struggling woman finds solace in visiting Kuroda's grave each day as she grapples with her difficult journey to recovery. She ventured out into the day, carrying a bouquet of flowers with her. Kuroda's mother emerged from the cemetery, her grief overwhelming her as tears streamed down her face despite the presence of onlookers. Tears streamed down her cheeks, marking the depth of her sorrow. She expresses her deep longing for her son, reminiscing about the moments they had shared together. The scene unfolded in the tavern, where even the patrons found themselves overwhelmed with emotion, their eyes brimming with tears as the heartbreaking events played out before them. Grut lifted his gaze. He noticed that Kuroda was also shedding tears. Before he realizes it, tears begin to stream down his own cheeks. Grut stood heartbroken, witnessing his master in ruins, though he clung to the belief that this was merely part of a grand design woven by powerful spells and intricate plans. After shedding tears for several minutes, Kuroda resolutely steeled himself, making a firm decision. Determined to defy his destiny, he resolved not to stand by and witness his mother's tears continue to flow. Kuroda seized the screen, his voice erupting in a fervent cry as he desperately called out to his mother, hoping she could hear him. The screen pulsated with light in response to Kuroda's touch, prompting Grut to urgently warn him to retreat, cautioning that the multidimensional magic could prove hazardous to his very existence. Despite Grut's urgent warning, Kuroda stubbornly persists in his cries, desperately calling out for his mother to hear him. The announcement echoed through the surroundings, signaling that the safety device was being activated. Kuroda gets caught in it, sending waves of painful magic through his body. Yet he clings to the screen with unwavering resolve. Kuroda is resolute in his decision to endure the agony, convinced that he can reach his mother's heart. He persisted in his cries, urging everyone to listen. He reassured his mother that he was still alive and well. Suddenly, it became evident that his mother could hear him. His mother pivoted to face him. A stark white image filled the space, resonating with the echo of Kuroda's voice. Gradually, the haze of uncertainty lifts, revealing a clearer understanding. The distraught woman gazed upon her son, a mix of shock and confusion washing over her, but Kuroda stepped forward to reassure her that it was indeed him. Kuroda informs his mother that, despite his lack of time to elaborate on the situation, he feels compelled to address it. He implores his mother to hold on and promise to wait for his return. The protagonist reassures his mother with steadfast determination, promising that he will certainly return to her. At that moment, Kuroda abruptly depleted all of his magical energy, ultimately severing his connection to the screen. The system notified him that he had just performed a remarkable act of kindness, embodying the essence of a mother's love. Kuroda gazed in astonishment at the unfolding scene and the intricate system before him. She conveyed to him that the quest to lift the curse was successfully completed, a feat he achieved by alleviating her mother's sorrow. The system window flickered to life, revealing the protagonist's karma status as it shifted from an eternal curse to that of a cursed individual. Kuroda felt a profound sense of gratitude as the eternal curse that had bound him was finally lifted. With newfound relief, he reveled in the opportunity to utilize the karma bestowed upon him by the angel as compensation for his trials. trials. He realizes that his fortune will only grow as long as he persists in performing acts of kindness. At that moment, Kuroda pivoted to catch sight of what lay behind him. The entire room burst into chaos as heated debates erupted over the choice of what to watch. The room was filled with individuals who, having sold off all their possessions, now found themselves devoid of any money, driven solely by the desperate pursuit of multidimensional magic. They had become completely enamored with the allure of multidimensional magic that captivated their imaginations. He was willing to part with his gold tooth just for the chance to gain access. Gret informed Kuroda that it was time for them to depart, as the multidimensional magic seemed to have incited madness among the crowd. In the heart of the chaos, one of the revelers accidentally doused Gret in beer, igniting his fury. With a swift motion, he unsheathed his sword, fueled by a fierce determination to exact revenge on those who dared to disrespect him. At that moment, Kuroda caught the scent of beer lingering on his head and realized that something was distinctly amiss. A familiar scent lingered in the air, igniting a long-buried memory within him. It dawned on the protagonist that this aroma belonged to the Black Mage's recollections. It became evident that his previous incarnation had crafted a similar potion before, one that was essentially an addictive elixir. Kuroda urged Gret to accompany him, as they needed to inspect the beer barrels. Kuroda sensed an unsettling presence in the air, convinced that a concealed device lay hidden nearby. Kuroda began scanning his surroundings until he soon discovered a tube brimming with the intoxicating elixir. This connection was intimately tied to the beverages. The revelation struck that Tyrion had infused the beer with the elixir, ensuring everyone's reliance on her multidimensional magic. Kuroda felt a deep discontent as he observed individuals lavishly spending their fortunes in a futile quest to glimpse the occurrences unfolding across the vast corners of the universe. He recalled the child from earlier and deduced that his father might be one of those squandering money in the tavern. Out of nowhere, two men approached Kuroda and Gret. He proposed that they should fund their own entertainment, noting the apparent wealth they possessed. As expected, Gret swiftly seized his weapon, poised to eliminate the adversaries ahead. Kuroda intervenes, assuring him that it is unnecessary. Kuroda reveals to Gret that he possesses the ability to save everyone in the tavern. Kuroda delved into the depths of the Black Mage's memories, seeking to uncover the elusive antidote to the potent elixir. After several minutes of searching, Kuroda triumphantly located the antidote and harnessed his magical powers to activate it. A surge of magical energy erupted, enveloping everyone present in the room. To his astonishment, everyone in the room suddenly regained their composure, and the patrons began pressing for answers, their voices a chorus of curiosity, questioning the reason behind their presence at the tavern during such an unusual hour. Kuroda diligently ensured the purification of the entire village with the utmost care and precision. The antidote ultimately freed them from Tyrion's captivity. As the chaotic desire to wield the multidimensional device waned, fractured families began to mend their relationships. Gret stood in disbelief as he witnessed the patrons of the tavern exchanging courteous gestures and heartfelt apologies, a stark contrast to their usual demeanor. It suddenly occurred to him that Kuroda's magic had disarmed the crowd of all their aggression. As was customary for him, he concocted a fantastical rationale to explain the occurrence. The protagonist suspects that Kuroda orchestrated this scheme to render the populace submissive, ensuring they would never entertain the notion of rebellion, despite their former fierceness akin to lions, but found themselves reduced to the status of earthworms. At that moment, the system informed Kuroda that he had successfully accomplished a commendable task. Having completed the deed, he earned himself a bounty of luck points. Kuroda felt a surge of gratitude, recognizing how his purification spell had played a crucial role in accumulating valuable points. Ultimately, he successfully accumulates a staggering total of 238,000 luck points. Kuroda is convinced that this will enhance his ability to wield multidimensional magic. A sudden explosion reverberated through the building, shaking its very foundations. The explosion erupted, heralded by the formidable presence of the mage Tyrion. To everyone's surprise, Tyrion revealed herself to be a woman, and she seethed with anger at Kuroda's attempts to sabotage her thriving business. Gret's eyes widen in disbelief as the startling truth dawns upon him. Tyrion is, in fact, a woman. He was not the formidable villain that Tyrion had envisioned in his mind. She dismisses him and inspects the beer, seeking to validate her growing suspicions. With a flick of irritation, she discarded the cup and began inquiring with those responsible for purifying the drink. Trembling with fear at the prospect of Tyrion unleashing his wrath upon them, they stammered nervously, insisting that they had done nothing wrong. Tyrion surveyed his surroundings with a keen eye, meticulously evaluating the circumstances at hand before he directed his gaze toward Kuroda and Gret, emphasizing their presence. She continued to express her curiosity about the absence of the two, wondering aloud where they might be. Upon realizing that the elixir elixir bottles had already been shattered. He sauntered over to Kuroda, inquiring with a casual tone whether he was affiliated with the Immaculate Order. Additionally, she wondered whether the Order's exile had not sufficed and if they were now contemplating her imprisonment in a cell. Without warning, Kuroda discovered himself positioned at the center of an intricate magic circle, and before he had a chance to respond, Tyrion appeared. He activated it, unleashing a fierce surge of flames. Rather than succumbing to panic, Kuroda recalled witnessing a similar scene within the memories of the Black Mage. The phenomenon was known as the Flame Circle. With an urgency that brooked no delay, Kuroda swiftly moved forward, accompanied by his allies. With a swift motion, he tossed a gold coin to his right. Kuroda found himself taken aback, realizing that his actions were driven purely by instinct. At that moment, the ultimate karma struck, and Kuroda was informed that he had merely 3 minutes remaining. The gold coin strikes the water tap with unexpected force, shattering it in an instant. Water cascaded in all directions, ultimately extinguishing the flames that had engulfed Tyrion. Tyrion stood frozen in disbelief, his mind racing to comprehend the unexpected revelation before him. However, the same could be stated for Kuroda as well. Kuroda suddenly becomes aware that he had unconsciously invoked magic. This moment echoed the time he had rescued Gret, preserving her life against all odds. Kuroda struggled to grasp the unfolding situation just as Gret entered the scene. He swiftly removed his cloak, realizing it was engulfed in flames. However, he completely loses sight of the fact that he is surrounded by humans, and this revelation starkly highlights his true identity as a goblin. The crowd erupted into chaos upon spotting Gret, their frenzied shouts echoing as they clamored for his death, convinced that he had come to steal their precious harvest. In a moment of bravery, Kuroda positioned himself between his subordinate and the enraged crowd, ready to defend him. Kuroda expertly unfastened his cloak, letting it fall away to reveal the attire beneath. At that moment, the realization struck them as they recognized the individual standing before. He stood before them, revealed as the infamous Black Mage. As soon as the revelation struck, they swiftly dashed away, each of them propelled by a surge of urgency. Even Tyrion was taken aback to find the Black Mage lurking in such a dismal location. However, Tyrion harbored no intentions of fleeing. The staggering bounty placed on Kuroda's head had reached an astonishing 100 billion gold coins. Tyrion is confident that she can confront Kuroda, having heard rumors of the Black Mage's vulnerability during his time in the Order. To Tyrion, she envisions herself as an opulent lady of wealth and luxury, as long as she can defeat Kuroda. Simultaneously, Kuroda acknowledges that he stands little chance, as he has yet to master the intricacies of black magic. Recognizing the gravity of his situation, Kuroda concludes that he must place all his hopes on a stroke of luck. Kuroda strode confidently towards Tyrion, asserting with determination that she recognized her as a formidable opponent. However, her concentration wavers slightly, drawing her attention toward the unexpected. This left her completely unaware of the events unfolding around her. By the time Kuroda comprehends the gravity of the situation, a fire has already begun to smolder ominously within the room. He swiftly seized the grunt, relying on his instincts to guide his actions. He catapulted himself through a narrow window, landing with precision inside a tank. As they settled into the tank, flames suddenly erupted, engulfing the entire room in a fierce blaze. As the flames began to subside, a sense of tranquility slowly enveloped the scene. Kuroda cautiously raised the tank lid, assessing the unfolding situation. Understanding the urgency, he schemed to make his escape while the smoke still enveloped the area. As the two emerged from the tank, they quickly set their sights on a path to freedom. However, it became evident that the fire had not claimed Tyrion's life. In that moment, her anger had intensified beyond what it had been merely minutes earlier. This time, Kuroda comes to the realization that he finds himself engulfed in a vast expanse. The situation had devolved into chaos. His luck was swiftly slipping away, with only 1 minute remaining on the clock. The protagonist realizes that he must act decisively within the next 60 seconds to bring Tyrion down. Kuroda skillfully deployed his familiar tactics, asserting to Tyrion that his immense strength was such that he didn't even need to tap into his powers during their encounter. Kuroda then inquired if she believed she stood a chance against him. Her anger surged, fueling her fury as she declared to Kuroda that he would soon understand the consequences of underestimating her. As the fireball hurtled toward Kuroda's face, an impending sense of destruction loomed. He stumbles and tumbles to the ground, narrowly evading Tyrion's fiery onslaught. Yet Tyrion's plans were far from over, for he had conjured an elaborate magic circle that hinted at his intentions, with a singular focus on obliterating Kuroda. With a mere 5 seconds remaining on the clock, Kuroda stood poised for action. Just as Tyrion unleashed the culmination of his spell, a surge of energy crackled through the air. With a mere second remaining on the luck clock, Kuroda Kuroda made a daring escape. Tyrion gazed in horror and dismay as he realized that, despite her relentless efforts, she had failed to secure Kuroda. She collapses to her knees, having drained every ounce of her strength. Depleted of all energy and unable to move, Tyrion resigns himself to the belief that she has finally come to the end of her journey. She stood on the brink of death. Suddenly, the flames flickered and extinguished, prompting her to glance around in confusion. The protagonist comes to the startling realization that Kuroda had just saved her life. However, Grud vehemently opposes this act of mercy, insisting they allow Tyrion to endure further agony amidst the flames. He bluntly remarks to Kuroda that humans are far more delectable when roasted to a perfect medium rare. Kuroda dismisses Grud's grievances with indifference and strides purposefully towards Tyrion. He assured her that he had no plans of abandoning her. Suddenly, Kuroda found himself gazing intently. He found himself immersed in one of the Black Mage's most significant memories. Kuroda gazed upon the devastation, his eyes locking onto the Black Mage, who ominously clutched a figure of deep significance to him. The revelation struck that the Black Mage had failed to rescue the individual. He let out a heart-wrenching scream, cradling the lifeless form of his beloved in his arms. Kuroda found himself completely absorbed in the memories of the Black Mage. He suddenly recalled that he was cradling Tyrion in the very manner that the Black Mage embraced his beloved. Suddenly, he experiences the gentle pressure of soft lips meeting his own. As he blinked awake, the protagonist found Tyrion leaning in, their lips tenderly brushing against his. Kuroda's eyes widened in disbelief as he urgently questioned Tyrion's actions. Tyrion appeared utterly innocent as she asserted that she believed this was what Kuroda desired from her. Kuroda informed her that she had misinterpreted everything. He remained still, his mind consumed by a whirlwind of thoughts. Tyrion informed Kuroda that she was prepared to comply with his wishes, driven by her unwillingness to embrace death just yet. Kuroda empathized with her perspective, reassuring her of his intentions by making it clear that he had no desire to bring harm her way. He extended his hand toward Tyrion, beckoning her to follow him. As it stood, he realized that he required her power to move forward. Without a moment's pause, Tyrion clasped Kuroda's hands firmly in his own. Kuroda informed Grut that it was time for them to depart. Shortly thereafter, the system alerted Kuroda that the ultimate karma had concluded and that all luck bonuses had been fully depleted. Kuroda remained unfazed, fully aware that he was on the brink of depleting his power. Additionally, his luck points had dwindled back down to 0. Kuroda soon realizes that his luck powers are fleeting, constrained by the nature of the Cursed One's status. Nevertheless, he firmly believes that a hidden quest exists that holds the key to his salvation. He examines the details regarding the cursed individual and he comes to understand that his current state is a consequence of the numerous atrocities he has committed. Shortly thereafter, they reach Tyrion's location. The protagonist described her home as anything but extraordinary. Kuroda held a different opinion, asserting that her residence was an impressive mansion, isolated amidst the vast expanse of nothingness. As Kuroda stepped inside, the dazzling array of jewelry illuminated the room, nearly overwhelming him with its brilliance. Kuroda confronted Tyrion, demanding to know whether he had been financing her extravagant lifestyle with the villagers' funds. Tyrion swiftly intervenes, clarifying that she had not committed such an act. As she disclosed that the house had been inherited from her parents, Grut remained skeptical, unwilling to accept what he perceived as a transparent falsehood. Once they found their place and established a sense of comfort, Kuroda informs Tyrion of the necessity for her multidimensional magic, as he must embark on a journey to another planet. Tyrion impulsively declared that Kuroda must have lost his sanity. Grut swiftly brandished a knife, pressing it to her neck as he menacingly warned her to be careful with her words. Tyrion clarified her meaning as she disclosed her own vulnerability and lack of the power needed to transport Kuroda between worlds. He emphasized that such a feat demanded an immense reservoir of multidimensional mana. This phenomenon was a unique ability reserved solely for the White Mage. Tyrion pointed out that, with her existing abilities, the most she could achieve was to observe the conditions of other worlds. Upon hearing this, Kuroda remained unfazed. He had anticipated the challenges that lay ahead and knew that success would not come without effort. Despite his doubts, he remains confident that mastering the fundamentals of multidimensional magic will empower him to achieve his goals. The Black Mage loomed as an immensely formidable entity, exuding unparalleled power. Kuroda then urged Tyrion to impart all the multidimensional magic he knew, confidently asserting that he would manage the remaining aspects on his own. Tyrion's eyebrows shot up in astonishment as he listened to her, a look of disbelief crossing his face when she unabashedly questioned Kuroda's intelligence. As expected, Grut was already seething with anger. All he required was a direct command to thrust his short sword towards Tyrion's neck, prompting Tyrion to remark to Kuroda that the request request seemed rather unusual. Unexpectedly, Grut approached her to explain that Kuroda was merely assessing her knowledge. Grut ominously warned her that any mistake would lead to dire consequences, marking her demise. Paralyzed by the terror of potential failure, she feared that a single mistake could cost her life. Tyrion firmly informs Kuroda that she is unable to impart the secrets of multidimensional magic to him. In her defense, she asserted to Kuroda that he was the Black Mage. Kuroda's expression reflected a deep sense of confusion as he processed the unfolding situation. Tyrion elaborates on the existence of two distinct types of magic that permeate the world. He stood at the crossroads of mystical power, contemplating the stark dichotomy between white magic and black magic. It became evident that the deeper one delved into one aspect of magic, the more inaccessible the opposing side would become. A sudden realization washed over Kuroda. His mastery of black magic had come at the cost of his ability to wield white magic. Tyrion affirms this statement, further elaborating that multidimensional magic stands as the most powerful spell within the realm of white magic. Tyrion informed Kuroda that he had ascended to the pinnacle of black magic. This limitation rendered multidimensional magic completely unattainable for him. Moments later, a deafening noise erupted from outside, prompting them to rise and investigate the source. They positioned themselves by the window only to. An angry mob gathered outside the mansion, their voices rising in a furious chorus as they threatened Tyrion's life. Grut's eyes widened in shock as he beheld the scene before him, panic surging through him. Upon closer inspection, the group discovered that the villagers were not solitary. They were accompanied by an unseen presence. Tyrion's heart raced as the shocking realization dawned upon her. The mages who had accompanied the villagers were from the Immaculate Order, prompting a surge of panic that nearly overwhelmed her. Compounding the situation, the white mage was now among them. The mere presence of the man sent ripples of unease coursing through Grut and Tyrion's bodies. Tyrion trembled as the grim realization settled in, convinced that they were all lost to fate. Even Kuroda found himself taken aback by the appearance of the white mage, fully aware that he stood no chance against such formidable power. Kuroda comes to the realization that fleeing is his most advantageous course of action. Kuroda gently placed a hand on Tyrion's shoulder, drawing his attention with a subtle yet deliberate gesture. He informed her that she would be joining them as well. Tyrion felt compelled to voice his dissent, arguing that she could never abandon her palace and the vast fortune it contained. However, he hesitated. Kuroda firmly tugged her along, asserting that he was issuing an order rather than making a mere request. At that moment, they summoned a magic circle into existence. As the furious mob stormed into the house, the trio made their daring escape through a shimmering teleportation circle. It became evident that the circle was energized from within, thanks to Kuroda's men who remained on standby. Kuroda arrived back at the castle unscathed, a sense of satisfaction washing over him as he reflected on the escape route he had meticulously prepared with Grut's assistance in transfer magic. Kuroda continued to extol the brilliance of black magic when he abruptly discerned that his subordinates, who had been channeling energy into the magic circle, lay scattered on the ground in a state of collapse. It appeared that they had already succumbed to death. Perplexed, Kuroda urgently seeks an explanation for the unfolding events. Grut nonchalantly revealed that the group had sacrificed their lives as the cost for the transfer magic. Grut disclosed that, in the realm of goblins, teleportation stood as one of the most formidable spells. By harnessing the life force of the summoned, it possessed the ability to transport individuals across great distances. Kuroda's anxiety spiraled as the news sank in, prompting him to seize Grut by the arm and demand an explanation for not warning him. In a calm yet understated manner, Grut responded that he hadn't wanted to burden Kuroda with what he deemed trivial matters. Kuroda was taken aback by Grut's audacious classification, deeming the lives of certain individuals as insignificant. To add insult to injury, the system branded Kuroda with a notorious bad action tag, condemning him for committing an evil deed. In a poignant flashback, Sylvana, a young girl from a destitute background, endures mistreatment that reduces her to the status of an animal. The boss unceremoniously expelled her from the workplace. Someone had advised her against returning simply due to the unfortunate incident of a shattered plate. As she strolled along the street, whispers of gossip and disparaging remarks about her drifted through the air, piercing her ears. It became evident that her parents had been implicated as murderers. As a result, Sylvana found herself isolated, shunned by those around her who preferred to distance themselves from her. Sylvana found herself abandoned on the unforgiving streets, where her struggle deepened one fateful night. A greenish entity materialized before Sylvana. He urged Sylvana to eat it, assuring her that everything would be fine if she complied. In the present day, Kuroda has at last grasped the intricate workings of ultimate karma. Despite his relentless struggles, Kuroda managed to accumulate some virtuous acts amidst the harshness of the desolate southern lands. In essence, essence, the majority of the noble actions had been. He intervened to prevent the monsters from clashing with one another. He took diligent steps to ensure that they forged a friendship. As a result, he was able to elevate his luck points, albeit only slightly. Despite possessing luck points, the protagonist found himself unable to reap their benefits due to his designation as the Cursed One. The only means to unleash his fortune lay in the activation of the ultimate karma. In the crucial moment when the ultimate karma activated, all of his luck points were swiftly depleted. As long as the points remained active, he found himself basking in a stroke of luck. The protagonist recalled that prior to his confrontation with Tyrion, he had amassed over 200,000 points through the purification of a village. In that moment, he instinctively unleashed the power of ultimate karma, plunging himself into a remarkable state of boundless fortune that lasted for an exhilarating 3 minutes. With this advantage, he effortlessly overcame Tyrion in battle. Understanding the nature of ultimate karma, he realizes that a single good deed capable of impacting millions would earn him the necessary points to return to Earth. Consequently, he devised a series of meticulous plans. The protagonist emerged from the grandeur of his palace, eager to ascertain whether Grutt had completed the necessary preparations. Grutt informed him that his horse was prepared and waiting. Kuroda ascends his path with determination. As the horse prepared to depart, Tyrion offered his heartfelt wishes for a safe and successful journey ahead. Kuroda and Grutt embarked on a grand adventure, determined to journey to the edge of the kingdom with the noble intention of achieving a remarkable good deed. Kuroda inquired whether Grutt still had the target in mind, to which Grutt affirmed with a resolute yes. The truth unfolded as they pursued the malevolent witch, revealing Sylvana to be the mastermind behind the creation of the world's most lethal disease. Just as Kuroda prepares to embark on a serious journey, Grutt gestured toward the house before them, signaling that they had reached their destination. Kuroda found himself engulfed in a haze of confusion, struggling to grasp the unfolding situation. Grutt informs him that Sylvana resides in the very house they are examining. Kuroda shouted at Grutt, fiercely recalling his claim that Sylvana resided at the kingdom's edge. Grutt gently implores Kuroda to regain his composure while he casts one final glance at the map. At that moment, Grutt finally grasped a method to articulate the concept of rubbish to his master. Kuroda seethed with frustration as he observed Grutt's ability to transform a humble house, situated merely 100 meters from the castle, into an illusion of heavenly grandeur. Kuroda strode confidently into the compound, instructing Grutt to return to the castle and await his arrival. Kuroda approached the door, pausing momentarily before crossing its threshold. He realizes that by successfully purifying Sylvana, he could potentially save millions. The only hope he clung to was that the antidote would prove effective. Steeling himself with a deep breath, Kuroda burst through the door of the house. He intended to pour the antidote over Sylvana's body. The instant Sylvana's gaze lands on Kuroda, she hurriedly approached him, enveloping him in a warm embrace as she expressed how deeply she had missed his presence. Kuroda stood in stunned silence, fully aware that Sylvana still harbored the belief that he was the Black Mage. Sylvana seized Kuroda's arm, pulling her determinedly towards the confines of her laboratory. In the lab, she meticulously prepared new spores, now primed for deployment. Sylvana selects a handful as an example and tosses them into the air with a flourish. The spores swiftly journeyed towards the nearest human settlement, seeking to infect its unsuspecting inhabitants. Sylvana informed Kuroda that the latest batch of spores was on its way. He would undoubtedly bring about the death of millions. Kuroda's astonishment grew as he listened to Sylvana casually mention millions, as though it were a mere trifle. Sylvana disclosed her deep connection to every spore, revealing that she could sense the pain and suffering they inflicted upon the world. He expressed his gratitude to Kuroda, acknowledging that her strength had flourished due to his influence. Kuroda, however, remained unimpressed, recognizing that Sylvana was inflicting considerable damage without even being aware of it. Kuroda informed Sylvana that he had concocted a medicine designed to enhance her strength even further. Kuroda had conducted extensive research on the disease currently ravaging the area, and he was convinced that purifying Sylvana would halt its advance. Without a moment's pause, Sylvana snatched the bottle from Kuroda and downed its contents in one swift motion. After consuming the liquid, Sylvana maintained her composure and demeanor as if nothing had changed. Kuroda felt a wave of fear wash over her as she recalled having consumed the entire contents of the bottle in his presence. Yet astonishingly, she showed no signs of being affected. Lacking any understanding of the unfolding events, he chooses to investigate the core himself. Utilizing his magic, the protagonist embarked on a quest to uncover the origins of the corruption. Kuroda stood in astonishment as the magnitude of the primary source struck him with overwhelming clarity. Furthermore, threads intertwined with the spores revealed a complex network of connections. To compound the situation, a large number of them them were present. By the time he concludes his investigation, he acknowledges the overwhelming grip of corruption, recognizing that there is no feasible way to cleanse such a powerful force. It is at this moment that a revelation strikes Kuroda, compelling him to consider taking drastic action. Sylvana's appearance exudes the charm of an innocent little girl, embodying a yearning to embrace life to its fullest. Sylvana's thoughts drift into a haunting reverie, consumed by the chilling realization of the countless lives that would be lost when Kuroda unleashed its devastation. He drives a sword through her chest from behind. Sylvana spun around, her eyes widening in disbelief. He watched as Kuroda wept uncontrollably, explaining that this was the only path forward. Sylvana confronts Kuroda, compelled to seek an explanation for the betrayal that led him to stab her. Kuroda asserts that this is the sole method to liberate her from the grip of corruption. Sylvana's body plummets violently to the ground, compelling the greenish entity that resided within Sylvana to manifest before Kuroda. It insists on uncovering Kuroda's actions. The entity quickly realizes that Kuroda had murdered the host as a tactic to diminish its strength. It then confronts Kuroda, inquiring whether he has arrived with the intent to challenge it. Kuroda firmly asserts that his intent is not to challenge the situation but to obliterate it. Kuroda unleashed the eternal flame with a fierce determination. Ultimately, he delivered a searing critique of the entity. The entity let out a piercing scream of agony, vowing to Kuroda that he would soon come to regret his actions. Kuroda stoked the flames, fueling the fire with greater intensity. He needed to ensure that the entity was thoroughly eliminated and ceased to exist. Once Kuroda completed her task, one by one, the powerful entities that shaped the world began to vanish into thin air. Those who had succumbed to illness due to the spores unleashed by the entity. At that precise moment, he began to reclaim his health. As healing permeates across the globe, Kuroda found himself being bestowed with luck points as a reward. He is astonished by the staggering amount of points that the protagonist pressed forward, driven by the determination to purify Sylvana and obliterate the malevolent entity that plagued her. Before he realized it, his luck points had astonishingly surpassed the 1 billion mark. Kuroda reveled in the impressive tally of points he had accumulated, confident that he could now make his way back to Earth. Kuroda cradles the fading Sylvana tenderly in his arms, her life slipping away as he holds her close. He assured her that he would rescue her before making his journey back to Earth. Kuroda unleashed the ultimate karma, channeling its immense power. He received a remarkable boon of 3 minutes, during which his luck would reach its peak potential. Kuroda felt a surge of satisfaction as he recognized that his status at that moment was designated as divine luck. Meanwhile, a celestial body was on a collision course with a particular planet. Simultaneously, on the very same planet, the white mage found himself engaged in his own endeavors. He was on the verge of annihilating the entire centaur tribe. Just as the white mage's spell surged forward, poised to strike, the tension in the air crackled with anticipation. A meteor streaked through the sky, diverting the powerful magic of the white mage and altering its intended course. The deflected magic hurtled towards Sylvana. The house trembled under the impact as a portion of it was obliterated, leaving behind debris and devastation in its wake. Kuroda stood in a state of shock and confusion, struggling to comprehend the unfolding events around him. Suddenly, a screen materialized before him, revealing his mother's image, and it struck him that the multidimensional magic was indeed in effect. Realizing the potential of the powerful magic at his disposal, he urges Sylvana to remain by his side as he prepares to rescue her using his formidable abilities. Kuroda shouted at the screen, promising his mother that he would return after rescuing Sylvana. He attempts to contact his mother as he had done in the past. However, the magic proved to be overwhelmingly powerful this time. He struggles to penetrate the barriers, ultimately falling short. In her final moments, Sylvana imparted a poignant truth to Kuroda. Some aspects of the world remain immutable. She emphasized that these constants endure regardless of any fortune he might possess. It became evident that as long as he remained a black mage, he was unable to wield the powers of white magic. It was clear to him that reviving the dead was a task beyond possibility. With those final words, Sylvana breathed her last breath, succumbing to the inevitable fate that awaited her. Kuroda embraced her tightly, tears streaming down his cheeks. He stubbornly rejects the harsh truth, tears streaming down his face as he continues to weep. Sylvana's soul manifested before him, revealing that she had witnessed every moment. She reveals to him that she has witnessed the depths of his power and the weight of his destiny, acknowledging the excruciating choices he has been compelled to make along his journey. Sylvana reassured Kuroda, acknowledging his sorrow while urging him to find solace in the knowledge that he had released her from her burdens. Sylvana expressed that causing harm to anyone had never been her intention. Her deepest desire was to experience love. Sylvana expressed her heartfelt gratitude to Kuroda for all that he had done. With that final final moment, her soul dissipates into the ether. In that moment, a chilling realization washed over Kuroda as he recognized that Sylvana was responsible for the deaths of millions. Before her lies the profound darkness of hell itself. With the ultimate karma still in effect and just over a minute remaining, Kuroda unleashed the powerful spell known as Astral Ascension. In his determined effort to rescue the unluckiest girl in the world, he set out with unwavering resolve. The spell unleashed a tremendous surge of energy, fracturing the ground beneath it. Kuroda steeled himself for a daring mission, his resolve unwavering as he meticulously gathered his tools and strategies. Meanwhile, Sylvana found herself stepping into the ethereal realm of the afterlife. She discovers herself engulfed in the abyss. The master of the abyss revealed to Sylvana that her soul was withering away, burdened by an overwhelming sense of emptiness. Sylvana attempts to defend herself, asserting that she had been under the influence of a malevolent force. Before the Lord of the Abyss loomed a staggering truth. Sylvana bore the heavy burden of having caused the deaths of more than 52 million souls. Essentially, the consequence for this transgression is an everlasting sentence in purgatory. The Lord of the Abyss solemnly informed Sylvana that her fate was unchangeable, for the records were firmly stacked against her. She persisted in her pleas, expressing remorse for the unintended consequences of her actions. Sylvana feels the weight of unjust scrutiny upon her. The Lord gently urged Sylvana to dry her tears. He realized that no assistance was on the way for her from any direction. The messengers of the abyss began to encircle Sylvana, their ominous intent clear as they prepared to seize her. In an instant, a dazzling light illuminated the surroundings, revealing Kuroda at its center. He seizes Sylvana and swiftly carries her away, just ahead of the approaching dark messengers. The Lord of the Abyss seethed with fury, enraged that someone had the audacity to trespass into his dominion. He swiftly commands his angels to pursue Kuroda and Sylvana relentlessly. At that moment, Kuroda found himself with only 1 minute remaining. Fortunately for Kuroda and Sylvana, the dark angels remained unable to reach them. The ultimate karma continued to shield them from harm. However, the dark angels proved to be formidable adversaries, swiftly closing the distance on Kuroda. Simultaneously, atop the highest peak of purgatory, Sisyphus found himself entrenched in the relentless cycle of his eternal struggle. The protagonist struggled to heave a massive boulder toward the summit. Just as he neared the summit, a sudden slip threatened to send him tumbling back down. The force exerted caused the boulder to tumble down. Just as dark angels poised to seize Kuroda, the atmosphere thickened with tension. A massive boulder suddenly descended, crushing them beneath its weight and sending them tumbling downward, allowing Kuroda precious moments to flee. Kuroda felt a wave of relief wash over him as he witnessed the scene unfold before his eyes. He proceeded steadily on his journey towards heavens. As he approached the gate, a sense of foreboding washed over him upon discovering that dark angels awaited his arrival. Kuroda's shock was palpable as he realized they had caught up to him far quicker than he anticipated. The ominous dark angels prepared to seize Kuroda. The moment was abruptly interrupted as a dazzling burst of light erupted, scattering everything in its path. Kuroda pivoted to discover his unexpected savior standing behind him. The figure before Kuroda revealed himself to be none other than Angel Gabriel, who assured her that he would take charge of confronting the dark angels. He implores Kuroda to abandon Sylvana at Heaven's Gate. Kuroda approached Heaven's Gate with a smile, anticipation gleaming in his eyes. However, in an unexpected twist, he alters his decision. He is convinced that there exists a place more suited for Sylvana, one where her spirit can find peace after the suffering she endured in life. Kuroda ventured beyond the familiar gates of heavens. He approached the gate with purpose, making his way straight toward Nirvana. A wave of panic washed over Gabriel as he witnessed the unfolding scene, prompting him to implore Kuroda to halt immediately. Nirvana, a realm designated solely for the purest souls in the universe, loomed ahead, instilling a deep sense of dread in Gabriel as he feared that Kuroda might recklessly collide with its sacred boundaries. The protagonist stood before the imposing gate, its grandeur commanding attention and hinting at the mysteries that lay beyond. Nevertheless, Kuroda remained vigilant, keeping a close watch on the luck clock. The protagonist suddenly comprehended that only 5 seconds remained. Despite the inherent dangers, Kuroda presses on with unwavering determination. Recognizing the impossibility of his escape, he flung Sylvana toward the gate, assuring her that she had finally reached the end of her nightmare. Gabriel was struck by a wave of panic upon witnessing the scene, as he feared for Sylvana's fate. The impending collision seemed inevitable as Sylvana hurtled forward, the realization striking her that the gate would never open, threatening to shatter everything into fragments upon impact. As the gate creaked open from within, a sense of anticipation filled the air. It left Gabriel utterly astonished. A towering figure swung open the gate from within, drawn by the ruckus echoing outside. In that fleeting moment, Sylvana transcended into nirvana. Sylvana stares in disbelief, struggling to comprehend the scene before her. She turned around, expressing her heartfelt gratitude to Kuroda for all that he had done thus far. Gabriel found himself utterly astonished, unable to fathom that she had actually succeeded in reaching her destination. The giant golden figure from Nirvana inquired of Gabriel about the presence of a black mage within their surroundings. Gabriel swiftly reassured him, asserting that he would manage the situation, deeming it merely a misunderstanding. Moments later, Kuroda slowly opened his eyes. At last, he had returned to his own body. He gently caressed Sylvana's cheek, harboring a flicker of hope that she is on the verge of attaining the happiness she rightfully deserves this time. Meanwhile, in the realm of Nirvana, Sylvana had already taken decisive action. She is surrounded by friends who are always eager to join her in play. Sylvana was beckoned away from her playful activity with the sand. As she rose to her feet, it became evident that she had been creating a drawing. The protagonist buried Kuroda and Grut deep in the sand, marking a solemn moment of loss. On Earth, Kuroda's presence loomed large. His mother seemed to show remarkable improvement compared to her previous state. When inquired whether she planned to visit her son's grave as she typically did, she responds firmly, asserting that such measures are unnecessary. Her unwavering conviction led her to believe that her son could hear her voice carried on the winds from the heavens above. Meanwhile, Kuroda found himself compelled to observe his mother, ensnared by the influence of Tyrion's formidable power. Tyrion finds himself astonished that Kuroda spends the entire day engaged in a single, monotonous activity. He gazed intently at the screen, captivated by the presence of an enigmatic woman. Grut was convinced that Kuroda was orchestrating a malevolent scheme, leaving him ensnared within the confines of the screen. Suddenly, a realization begins to wash over Grut. It dawned on him that the woman before him was the very same he had seen earlier in the tavern, whom he affectionately referred to as Mother. Kuroda then engages in a one-sided conversation with his mother, confidently asserting that he is thriving thanks to his new life in an extraordinary castle. Upon learning this astonishing news, Grut found himself confronted with the reality that he commanded his own formidable army. He speculates that Kuroda is engaged in the exchange of military intelligence. Drawn to this conclusion by the implications of Kuroda's words, Grut deduces that it was the mother who imparted all of Kuroda's knowledge. The protagonist found himself idly passing the moments away. Grut deduces that Kuroda and Mother are devising strategies to dominate the universe. Grut rushed to the screen, fervently pledging his allegiance. He assured Kuroda's mother that he would remain devoted to serving her unwaveringly. On the other hand, Tyrion possesses a vague awareness of the unfolding situation but chooses to preserve Grut's illusion rather than shatter it. Later, Kuroda reflects on the severity of the situation he faces. Having spent several months stranded on this unfamiliar planet, the protagonist faced the stark reality of his inability to return home. Even at a distance, he could now catch sight of his mother. Later, Kuroda stepped into the projection room, discovering Grut engrossed in watching his mother on Kuroda's behalf. Grut radiated enthusiasm as he engaged in the activity. Kuroda expressed gratitude for his heartfelt sincerity. Deep within, Kuroda harbored a conviction that a solution to his predicament existed, for the Black Mage had once been affiliated with the revered Immaculate Order. Convinced that a pathway to revert his transformation into a white magic user exists, he clings to hope amidst uncertainty. Kuroda confidently reassured his mother of his determination to succeed, promising that their reunion was on the horizon. Once Kuroda finished observing his mother, he instructs Tyrion to cease the broadcast, signaling that it is time to transition to the next matter at hand. The trio embarked on a quest to explore the mysterious depths of the Black Mage's laboratory. He searched diligently, anticipating the discovery of something useful, yet the odds seemed relentlessly stacked against them. Tyrion stumbled upon a diary inscribed in an enigmatic language and turned to Kuroda, inquiring whether he had penned its contents. Kuroda delved into the depths of his memories, yet he found nothing. He swiftly concocted a lie, attributing the incident to one of his numerous worshippers. Tyrion pointed out that the texts within the book were inscribed in an ancient demon language, rendering it nearly impossible for either her or Kuroda to interpret. Tyrion firmly believed that the intricate designs before him were the work of an ancient mage, fueling his conviction that this mysterious figure might possess a method to cleanse Kuroda from the taint of black magic. At that moment, Kuroda's gaze fell upon a signature inscribed within the pages of the book, revealing it to belong to an individual named Talcom. Kuroda delves into the depths of the Black Mage's memories, sifting through a tapestry of shadows and whispers. The protagonist suddenly recalls having encountered Talcom in the past. Kuroda then informs him that Talcom is, in fact, a goblin. He swiftly summoned Grut. He decided to inquire whether he was familiar with someone named Talcom. Grut subtly remarked that Talcom was among the mightiest goblins in existence due to his exceptional prowess. He discovered that the mage held the esteemed position of chief within the Drogold tribe. Kuroda felt a surge of relief upon discovering that Grut was familiar with him, prompting him to inquire whether Grut could guide him to Talcom. Grut's eyes widened in surprise as he informed Kuroda that his clan had a long-standing rivalry with the Drogold tribe. Kuroda swiftly reassured Grut, promising that nothing would transpire to threaten him. He felt a profound sense of belonging as long as he remained in their company. Shortly thereafter, the trio approached the Drogold tribe, their destination finally within reach. They received a heartfelt and warm reception, fueled by the memories of the Black Mage. Kuroda suddenly recognizes that he has visited the location numerous times before. Perched upon his throne, Talcom exuded an air of menace that matched the ominous reports about him. He promptly rises from his chair to greet Kuroda and his entourage. The protagonist was taken aback by Kuroda's unexpected decision to bring along a white mage. He felt a wave of revulsion wash over him as his gaze fell upon Grut, the half-goblin accompanying Kuroda. Talcom regarded half-goblins as little more than servants, valuing them solely for their ability to handle menial tasks. He inquired of Kuroda the reason for his arrival in his territory. Kuroda explained that he had sought him out of necessity for his expertise. He candidly disclosed his intention to rid himself of the taint of black magic. Taken aback, Talcom inquires of Kuroda the reasoning behind such an unexpected decision. Kuroda casually responds, indicating that the tale is lengthy and intricate. It was essential for him to acquire the skill to wield white magic. Talcom confidently assured Kuroda of his ability to concoct a purification elixir tailored to his needs. However, a crucial condition loomed over the completion of the elixir. An extraordinarily rare ingredient was essential. The ingredient in question was none other than the body of a white mage. Talcom proposed that they initiate the process, noting that Kuroda was already accompanied by a white mage. Tyrion nearly collapses at the shocking revelation, but Kuroda interjected, informing Talcom that Tyrion had crossed the line, as he belonged to her as his mage. Moreover, she found herself cast out from the Immaculate Order. Nevertheless, Kuroda confidently reassured Talcom that he would soon deliver what was required. Once both parties reached an understanding, Kuroda began to make preparations for departure. He instructs Grut to convene a military council. The group was poised to embark on an exhilarating hunt. Kuroda understands that the only method to accelerate the purification process involves eliminating a white mage, but he aims to approach it in a manner that will benefit the community. Thus, he hoped it would be recognized as a noble act. Shortly thereafter, Kuroda convened his elite members for a crucial military council meeting. Among those gathered, Lindell, the financial minister, stood out prominently. He is known as the Minister of Torture, a figure shrouded in menace aptly named Snake. The notorious Black Mage, Draven, Tyrion commanded the Anti-Immaculate Order unit as its captain. The esteemed position of special advisor was held by Grut, yet one seat remained vacant, drawing attention amidst the bustling crowd. Lindell disclosed that the final individual was General Seth, who was presently stationed on the front lines of the Atlas Mountains. He was now at the forefront, commanding the army toward a decisive victory against the formidable Grey Orc clans. In a display of cunning strategy, Tyrion reveals Seth's location for all to witness. Seth exuded an air of undeniable confidence as he effortlessly dispatched the orcs, making their defeat seem almost trivial. The protagonist stood as a merciless warrior, unleashing his full might upon his enemies without hesitation. Simply observing him work independently evokes a sense of admiration. A chilling sensation coursed down the spines of Kuroda and Grut. Kuroda swiftly proposed that the meeting commence in Seth's absence. Kuroda then disclosed that he had summoned them for a significant purpose. As Tyrion addressed the council, he deliberately left the war broadcast playing in the background, showcasing Seth mercilessly decimating the enemy while hurling a barrage of curses at them. Kuroda then disclosed that their actions would deliver a substantial blow to the Immaculate Order, as they were targeting a white mage. Understanding that the broadcast served as a diversion, Kuroda implores Tyrion to put an end to the situation. Snake inquired of Kuroda whether he had a particular target in mind. Deep down, Kuroda's instincts kicked in as he seamlessly shifted into his bluffing mode. With an air of confidence, he declared that he had someone specific in mind. Their objective was to dismantle the tyrannical rule of the most malevolent white mage in history. The reputation of the white mage loomed large, having perpetrated numerous atrocities that instilled fear in even the bravest of warriors at the mere utterance of his name. To his surprise, the protagonist realized that everyone at the table harbored strong disdain for the individual Kuroda was discussing. They were all preparing to embark on their journey. Kuroda then departed, allowing them to utter the name of their target in flawless flawless unison. As they spoke, a singular name echoed among them, the merciless Cannel. Kuroda then verified their claims with unwavering certainty. He informed the council that the moment had come for Cannel to receive his due. Grut turned to Kuroda, seeking clarity on their next steps regarding the ominous threat of the bloody militia. However, confusion clouded Kuroda's expression as he grappled with the question. Grut revealed that the bloody militia served as Cannel's royal guard, renowned as the most feared mercenary group in the Western lands. However, despite this formidable reputation, Kuroda remained unfazed. The protagonist commanded Grut to mobilize the army, signaling their imminent departure for war. It became clear that Kuroda had been diligently training for the past few weeks, ensuring he was adequately prepared for what lay ahead. Cannel resided in a secluded castle, encircled by the ominous presence of the bloody militia. Fortunately for Kuroda, Grut successfully assembled all the demons who had remained behind during Seth's expedition. Kuroda emerged from the castle, greeted warmly by Grut. The messenger informed him that all preparations were complete. Kuroda positioned himself on his balcony, surveying the formidable army that Grut had assembled. In a surprising turn of events, Grut crafted Mother's Emblem, a symbol designed to elevate the spirits of the warriors. In fact, he went beyond merely halting his actions. The protagonist commanded the warriors to etch this emblem into their skin as a symbol of loyalty and strength. The army stirred with excitement, fueled by the events that had unfolded. Kuroda finds himself thoroughly impressed by the array of accomplishments Grut has achieved thus far. Soon after, Kuroda and his forces advanced into the western lands, encroaching upon Cannel's territory. On the other hand, Cannel seemed to have caught wind of Kuroda's scheme, adding an unexpected twist to the unfolding drama. Cannel is aware of Kuroda's true identity. At a later time, within the confines of the demon encampment, Kuroda gazed at the status window, relief washing over him as he recognized that he was well prepared for the impending battle. Before facing Cannel, he had taken measures to enhance his fortune. Weeks prior, he stealthily infiltrated the ominous Dungeon of Torments, a notorious lair belonging to the infamous Snake. Amidst the chaos, Kuroda bravely liberated thousands of prisoners, granting them their long-awaited freedom. This strategic decision bestowed upon him a significant boost of luck points. However, Snake seethed with anger upon laying eyes on her. The beloved prisoners, unaware of the identity of those orchestrating their escape, made a daring bid for freedom. Due to this generous act, Kuroda amassed a remarkable total of 100,000 luck points. She possesses unwavering confidence in his ability to conquer Cannel. Shortly thereafter, Tyrion expressed his growing frustration with the monotony of their situation, urging that they expedite the conclusion of the siege. Tyrion felt a nagging concern that Grut might fail to deliver on his promise. Kuroda confidently assures her that Grut will fulfill the delivery. At that moment, Grut emerged from beneath the ground, wielding 2 pieces of drilling equipment. It was revealed that Grut had successfully excavated a tunnel directly leading to Cannel's castle, allowing them to circumvent Cannel's intricate defensive network. Grut felt a swell of pride as he declared that drilling was a goblin's specialty, a task that came effortlessly to him. The jubilant celebration continued as they reveled in the moment when Snake stepped forward, addressing Kuroda with urgency as he revealed the troubling situation they faced. It became evident that the bloody militia had already launched an assault on the forward base, with Cannel taking the initiative to strike first. This revelation prompted Kuroda to accelerate their plans, understanding that time was of the essence. Kuroda commanded Grut and Tyrion to accompany him as they prepared to infiltrate through the tunnel. Kuroda informed Snake that she would assume command of the army in his absence. He implores her to repel the blood-soaked militia. Snake willingly embraces the weight of responsibility. Eager to unleash chaos after the loss of her prisoners, Snake recognized that this situation presented an ideal opportunity for destruction. As they entered the tunnel, Grut took the lead, illuminating their path with a torchlight secured to his helmet. Moments later, they stepped into the vibrant residential district of Cannel. They were caked in mud, a testament to their arduous journey. Cannel's chamber resides at the pinnacle of the tower. Kuroda and his advisors swiftly made their escape, determined to resolve the situation before Cannel even had a chance to react. As the protagonist reached Cannel's door, he found himself standing on the threshold, anticipation coursing through him. He burst into the room, anticipating that he would begin trembling with anxiety. Nevertheless, Cannel maintained his composure. He casually held a drink in his hand. With unwavering assurance, Kuroda proclaimed to the man that his reign of terror had come to an end. Cannel responded with calm assurance, revealing that he had anticipated a situation like this. This was the reason he had made thorough preparations in advance. In an unexpected turn of events, Kuroda and his advisors found themselves ensnared within a formidable cage. Kuroda dismissed the matter with a sense of confidence, firmly believing that a mere small cage posed no threat to her. Kuroda then attempted attempts to harness his magic. To his astonishment, mana remained steadfastly nestled within his grasp, refusing to emerge. At that moment, the realization struck Tyrion with clarity. They were ensnared within a prison designed to suppress their powers. Essentially, anyone ensnared within the confines of this place finds their magical abilities utterly stripped away. Cannel erupted into laughter, delighted by Kuroda's flawless accuracy. Tyrion revealed that the cage was an extraordinary relic, a prized possession of the White Mages. He affirms this by revealing that he had stolen it during his expulsion from the Immaculate Order. Tyrion then declares to Kuroda that they are in dire straits, completely at Cannel's mercy. Recognizing the situation, Kuroda commanded Cannel to carry out the act of killing. Cannel readily agrees to the request. Cannel swiftly initiated the incantation for an attack spell, demonstrating remarkable haste. With a swift motion, he launched it directly towards them. Kuroda summoned the power of the ultimate karma, bestowing upon him an abundance of infinite luck. At the pivotal moment when the attack loomed imminent, a chandelier plummeted from above, intercepting the strike with a thunderous crash. Cannel's eyes widen in disbelief as he takes in the astonishing sight before him. Kuroda taunted him mercilessly for his blunders. Cannel seethed with frustration over the way events had unfolded, his anger simmering as he faced yet another setback. He resolves to push the boundaries to their limits. Cannel then unleashed the power of multidimensional magic too. The scene shifted to reveal Kuroda's mother, her presence adding depth to the unfolding story. He unveiled the truth of his true identity. Cannel disclosed that he had been closely monitoring Kuroda for an extensive period. It became evident that he had a bat observing every one of Kuroda's actions. Cannel revealed that he had observed Kuroda gazing at his mother daily. At that moment, a profound realization washed over him. Kuroda was undeniably not of this world. Cannel let out a sinister laugh, unveiling his devious intention to set his sights on Kuroda's mother. Grut's eyes widened in astonishment as he realized that Cannel had successfully uncovered Kuroda's hidden secret. Tyrion reassured Kuroda, urging him to remain calm, for it was only the White Mage who wielded the formidable multidimensional magic capable of traversing worlds. She exuded confidence, convinced that Cannel would never manage to reach Kuroda's mother. In a pivotal moment, Cannel finally discloses that the seizure prison is not his only acquisition from the White Mage. Cannel digs into his pocket, pulling out the additional items he had purloined. Being well versed in such matters, she harbored complete confidence that Tyrion understood their significance. Tyrion's heart raced as she caught sight of the object gripped tightly in Cannel's hands, a surge of panic washing over her. The protagonist learned that it was referred to as the Phial of Passage, a vessel containing the blood of the White Mage. It was said that anyone who ingested this blood could briefly traverse between worlds, yet these phials were believed to have been destroyed long ago. Cannel let out a sinister laugh as he triumphantly disclosed that one of the phials had survived unscathed. He lifted the chalice to his lips and consumed a portion of the crimson liquid. This revelation instantly opened the portal for him. As he prepared to cross to the other side, he instructed Kuroda to deliver his farewell, ominously declaring that once he finished with his mother, he would return to take vengeance on him. Fear enveloped Kuroda as he cried out to Cannel, pleading desperately for him to leave his mother unscathed. Ignoring the distraction, Cannel strides confidently toward his mother. Meanwhile, Kuroda pondered the perplexing inaction of the ultimate karma amidst the unfolding chaos. As the seconds dwindled, the tension mounted with a mere 28 seconds remaining on the clock. In a moment of desperation, Kuroda clutched Tyrion's arm, urging her to assist in saving his mother. Despite her eagerness to assist, Tyrion cautions him that her present capabilities are insufficient to wield the formidable multidimensional magic required for traversing worlds. However, Kuroda continued to shout at her, fervently pleading for her assistance. Kuroda crumbled under the weight of his despair, sinking to his knees as he implored Tyrion for assistance. Suddenly, a profound transformation stirs within Tyrion, propelling her to the earthly realm in an instant. She surveyed her surroundings and caught sight of a youthful Kuroda. True to his nature, Kuroda exemplified the spirit of a diligent young boy, tirelessly striving to purchase a chocolate bar for his father. It became evident that the protagonist's father was facing a difficult situation. However, Kuroda showed a willingness to extend his assistance. Having purchased the chocolate bar, he carefully placed it in the bicycle carrier of his father's bike. This was, at first, regarded as a commendable act on his part. However, due to the weight of his negative karma, every situation inevitably spirals into disaster. His father eagerly accepted the chocolate bar before making his way out to work. Tragically, he was crushed to death in front of Kuroda, his hand still raised in a final wave to his father. Even Tyrion experiences a profound sense of trauma upon witnessing the haunting events that befell Kuroda during his childhood. Shortly thereafter, Kuroda's father is laid to rest. However, he flees from the procession. He held himself accountable for the tragic events that befell his father. He suddenly encounters Tyrion. Desperate for assistance, he pleads with her to save his mother, fearing that her life may be lost due to his actions. Tyrion flashed a reassuring smile at young Kuroda, conveying his confidence that she would assist him. As Tyrion regained her familiar self, an exhilarating surge of power coursed through her. Despite her uncertainty about the unfolding events, she remains resolute in one conviction. The protagonist realized that she was now capable of fulfilling Kuroda's requests. Tyrion's eyes began to radiate an intense glow, leaving Kuroda in a state of astonished disbelief. Tyrion ultimately harnesses the power of supreme multidimensional magic. As she opens the portal, she implored Kuroda to hasten his pace, realizing she couldn't endure the pressure much longer. Kuroda attempted to step through the portal, but his dark affinity for black magic proved to be a barrier, resulting in his swift rejection. Without a moment's pause, Grut readily extends his assistance and leaps through the portal. Just as Canul was on the verge of reaching Kuroda's mother, Grut intervened unexpectedly. Suddenly, an unexpected figure materialized and delivered a swift kick directly to his face. The force propelled him through the air, crashing into a nearby car. Grut swiftly positioned himself in front of Kuroda, shielding her from harm. His mother proclaimed his unwavering resolve to safeguard the woman. Panic erupted among the crowd as they bolted in terror at the sudden appearance of a goblin materializing from thin air. Meanwhile, Kuroda's mother stood still, her figure frozen in place. Grut urged the woman to steady herself, revealing that he was the Black Mage's advisor dispatched for her protection. Grut sternly warned Canul that any attempt to approach Kuroda's mother would inevitably lead them to confront one another. Canul, regaining his balance, erupted into laughter at Grut's expense. He informed him that all that was required for the task was a mere drop of blood. Inside the cage, the luck timer steadily counted down. This departure rendered Kuroda utterly powerless. Recognizing his own limitations, he summoned Tyrion to traverse dimensions in search of assistance. Grut spun around, only to discover that Tyrion had already succumbed to exhaustion and lost consciousness. She focused on her own thoughts, immersing herself in reflection. In that moment, Kuroda comes to the profound realization that the only person he could depend on was Grut. Now on Earth, Canul seethed with frustration as Grut's incessant stress weighed heavily upon him. With a swift motion, he lifted his hand, poised to unleash a devastating torrent of magic upon his adversary. However, he is taken aback when nothing transpires. Grut ridiculed him, asserting that magic was non-existent on Earth, leaving them reliant solely on their physical strength. Grut seized the initiative, lunging forward toward Canul with both swords brandished in his hands. He lunged forward with the intent to stab Canul, but Canul effortlessly parried the assault, deflecting it with his own sword. With a swift motion, Canul slashed Grut across the chest, propelling him through the air and sending him hurtling into the distance. Grut slammed violently against the wall, sending a thick cloud of dust swirling into the air. Determined to exact vengeance for Kuroda's transgressions against his territory, Canul approached Kuroda's mother with lethal intent. Canul brandished his sword, preparing to strike at Kuroda's mother. However, the woman deftly shields herself by intercepting the attack with the car's door. Canul is taken aback by the woman's display of strength and resilience. However, he couldn't shake off his disappointment at the evident weakness of Kuroda's mother. Canul chuckled heartily as the scene unfolded before him. A woman suddenly unleashed a burst of pepper spray, temporarily blinding him. Canul's anguished cries echoed through the air as he continued to scream and weep over his eyes. Kuroda's mother shouted at Grut, urging him to awaken, her voice reverberating through the stillness around him. As thoughts swirled in his mind, he felt a firm reminder from his subconscious urging him to remain resilient for his master, knowing that Kuroda depended on him. Grut miraculously returned to life at long last. The woman tossed a telescopic baton to Grut, urging him to make use of it. Grut swiftly snatched the baton from the air. With all his might, he launched himself toward Canul. He attempts to block the attack, but the overwhelming force of the baton forces him back. The protagonist winced in agony, realizing that Grut's speed only compounded his suffering. At that moment, Kuroda's mother hurled the pepper spray towards Grut, urging him to utilize it as well. Lacking any understanding of its contents, Grut strikes the can with force, causing it to shatter into pieces. Kuroda's mother stood in stunned silence, realizing that the outcome had diverged sharply from her intentions, yet it was too late to change what had already transpired. The pepper spray dispersed widely, engulfing both Grut and Canul in its stinging haze, inflicting upon them a deep sense of anguish. Nevertheless, Canul emerges as the first to regain his composure. With a surge of fury, he propelled his foot into Grut, sending him crashing to the ground. Canul swiftly conjured another portal. He prepared to depart, intending to return later when he would be better equipped. He retrieved the file and consumed a portion of the preserved blood to enable his passage. hostage. Despite enduring a brutal beating, Grut remains resolute and refuses to yield. Without warning, Grut pivoted sharply, his gaze locking onto Kuroda's mother as she careened toward him at full throttle. She skillfully evaded the risk of crushing him, gently grasping his form instead. He extended his hand, assisting him in gripping the car firmly. Before Kanul fully comprehends the unfolding events, he watched in astonishment as a car barreled toward him at full speed, with Grut perched confidently on the roof. Before long, the car collided with Kanul. The force propelled him into the distance, blood escaping his lips as he struggled to breathe. Grut then sprang toward him. He seized the file, knowing it was his only chance for Kuroda to find a way back to Earth. Grut devours every morsel of the content contained within. He lunged forward, propelling himself toward Kanul with lethal intent, ready to deliver a fatal blow. Grut forcefully propelled him through the portal, viciously shredding his insides with swift strikes from his short swords. Grut exuded an aura of confidence and strength as he boldly proclaimed that his master was far beyond the reach of someone as insignificant as Kanul. Kuroda's mother finally emerged from the car, stepping into the scene with purpose. She arrives at the profound realization that all of her experiences up to this point are undeniably real, not a mere dream. In the distance, Kuroda's mother approached a frightened young boy who was capturing the entire incident on his phone. Kuroda's mother requested to see his phone, her curiosity piqued by the secrecy surrounding it. He suddenly remembers capturing a photograph of the scene and quickly encourages him to share it. He contemplated the possibility of her framing it, captivated by its striking and bold appearance. Returning to the fantastical realm, Snake conveyed to Kuroda that the blood-soaked militia had capitulated, revealing their submission to their master. The unit had pledged its loyalty to Kuroda, despite the unfortunate demise that had befallen them. Kuroda, admiring Snake's unwavering determination, offered her praise before assigning her one final task. He instructed Snake to escort Tyrion back to the castle, recognizing that she needed time to recover after depleting her magical energy. At that moment, Kuroda rallied his army with a commanding presence. He informed them that their potential for victory hinged on the efforts of one remarkable individual. The individual standing before him was none other than his esteemed special advisor, Grut. A thunderous cheer erupted from the entire legion upon hearing the announcement, their voices rising in fervent support for Grut. Kuroda gracefully lowered himself to his knees before. Grut expressed his gratitude for the assistance he received, warmly referring to him as a friend. Following this, Kuroda informs Grut that the moment has arrived for them to proceed to Talcum's palace in order to deliver Cannel's body. Grut stood frozen in disbelief for several minutes, unable to comprehend the profound moment of being called a friend by Kuroda. Grut ultimately proclaims that he is experiencing the highlight of his day. Shortly thereafter, they reach Talcum's destination. They arrived at the location to find themselves greeted with a magnificent welcome, reminiscent of their previous experiences. Kuroda carelessly thudded Cannel's lifeless body to the ground, announcing to Talcum that he had acquired all the necessary components for the elixir. Talcum felt a surge of admiration as he discovered that Kuroda had bravely taken on the fiercest adversary and emerged victorious. Talcum praised Kuroda, asserting that his reputation was a testament to his character. Kuroda inquired whether Talcum had gathered all the necessary ingredients for the elixir, to which Talcum affirmatively responded. He implores Kuroda to grant him a few hours to finish the elixir that would cleanse Kuroda of the black magic lurking within. Kuroda found himself taken aback by Talcum's unexpected generosity, as he requested nothing in return. Talcum expressed that the mere opportunity to save a friend was more than enough reward for him. He commanded his elite goblin squad to transport Cannel's lifeless body to his laboratory. Thus, the stage was set for the preparations to commence. Kuroda and Grut strolled through the opulent halls of Talcum's palace, their footsteps echoing against the grand architecture. Kuroda eagerly anticipated the completion of the purification, knowing it would grant him access to the elusive multidimensional magic. Kuroda remarked on the goblins from earlier, noting their formidable appearance. Grut affirmed this assertion, explaining that they are known as the Four Calamities due to their status as the most formidable warriors of the Dronzer tribe. It was said that their names were derived from the ominous sound of bones being pulverized by their powerful jaws. It became apparent that the Dronzer tribe had successfully subjugated the majority of rival clans, solidifying their position as the most powerful among the goblins. Grut proudly declared the uniqueness of his clan, asserting that their distinctive qualities set them apart as an exception. Without warning, a peculiar noise emanated from one of the rooms behind them. The two of them resolved to investigate, yet upon stepping inside, they discovered an empty space devoid of any presence. Kuroda stubbornly clung to the conviction that the room held secrets yet to be uncovered. He summoned his magic, illuminating the room to unveil the secrets concealed within. Grut swiftly deduces their location as Talcum's office, office, convinced that a concealed passage must be lurking nearby. With the aid of Kuroda's enchantment, he deftly identifies the triggering mechanism concealed within a book. At that moment, the entrance to the hidden passageway materialized, prompting Kuroda to beckon Grut to follow him. He cautioned him to exercise caution, as he sensed a formidable surge of black magic emanating from the basement. Moments later, they reached the basement. He stumbled upon something gruesome and entirely unforeseen. In the dimly lit basement, hundreds of goblins endured cruel and inhumane experiments at the hands of their captors to alter their foundational principles. Grut stood in astonishment as his gaze fell upon a familiar female goblin, leaving him utterly speechless. The discovery sent a chill racing down his spine.